a sudden, the genies appeared, granting one wish to all. That would be weird. Well, that's what happens. No need for Houdini. Of course, chaos erupts when there are 8 billion genies.
Hey!
Hi.
Welcome everybody to Literarily Wasted, and as you can see, we have a packed screen for this, the last book discussion of 2024. Welcome everybody. We have special guests tonight, Jeff and Giggles/Amber, who you've seen on both YouTube and Facebook, and Brandy. Look at that. My pointing skills have improved to the different windows. Welcome. Thanks for being here and for participating on camera for this, the last book discussion of 2024. Who's here in the comments, shall we? Okay,
Go for
I
it.
guess I got to do the thing.
It's all you.
Okay. I'll just do the regular song. Hi, Kristen and Adrian and Tammy and Lisa and Cindy and Jennifer and Kathy. Hi, Stacy and Marianne. And I got a scroll. And Tim and Rachel and Kent. Hi, Judy and Lee and Leanne. Oh, my brain.
Whoa.
And Kristen and Dan and Rick and Justin. It's my brother. And Katie and Adrian and Jennifer and Nicole and Lisa and Kathy again. Bye-bye.
And I gotta say, your theme song for this one was
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah.
was epic.
Adrian says the book club turned into a rave. That's right. We end the year on
It was someone's wish.
Yeah, it was somebody's wish. What a waste. Well, as you can see, we are here to talk about 8 Billion Genies, which is a graphic novel, as we have been doing in December, and we've all read it. So I guess we should just go ahead and dive in. This was like a big Jeff Moore recommendation. It came up in the book poll, and he was like, "Yeah." So Jeff, this obviously isn't your first time reading it.
No, I read it in issues when it originally came out, and it was like immediately my favorite book of that year. I think it was last year when it started, and I just couldn't wait to get to the next one. Really loved the premise of it. I haven't read a whole lot from the author or the artist, I don't think, in my collection. I was aware of both of them. But yeah, I just loved it from right out of the gate, and got to the end, and I was like, yeah, that's good. That's complete.
And Giggles/Amber, I'm just gonna call you Giggles because that's what I call you all the time.
I respond to Giggles.
Is this your first time reading this?
Yes.
What did you think in a nutshell?
I'm not good at nutshells, one. And I had an expectation based on the description, and it was very much not that. And so I was a little bit disappointed because I was wanting like only a short period, and when it stretched, my brain was going, what? So yeah.
Yeah, I can get to, we'll dive into that more too, but I can understand sort of the expectations versus kind of what you get. I too, I think, was surprised by the length of time they covered. Brandy, what about you? Is this your first time?
This was my first time, and I didn't know what to expect going into it, but I was pleasantly surprised. So
I know it's your first time.
Yeah, this is my first time as well, and I know, like, I read you guys a description of it, but I went in and just knew it was 8 Billion Genies all at the same time, and that's pretty much it. And I loved it. I thought it was great. It was really fun, and the art was awesome, and I love that the story was contained. And while like how they kept stretching the amount of time, like per volume, it was a little trippy. I love that structure for this story.
Yeah, this is my first. I didn't know anything about this. I'm not even really sure how much of the blurb I paid attention to when you read it. But this of all the graphic novels I think we've read for Literary Waste, this is definitely my favorite one. Yeah, Super Mario Bros. 3. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It is. I'll show you the whole thing here in a second. There you go.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I love it. Stacy didn't expect it. But yeah, I this is my favorite of the graphic novels that we read. I also like Giggles was a little bit mind blown by the amount of time that this covers, and it's something that's really hard for me to fathom. Like you could say like centuries to me, and I'm like, sure, but like to be able to like really comprehend like that much time is might be like it's hard for my brain to really like grasp what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting it to go that far either, but I did really enjoy it. I thought that it was, graphic novels, like I never know what we're going to get. Like we've read The Umbrella Academy, which feels like a weird dream still. Like I don't know what that was. And like there've been some graphic novels that have gone like so bonkers. Like even The Sandman to some extent was like so far out there that I couldn't even like wrap my brain around it. But this one I could actually I could get behind. And it was told in like a comprehensive manner, which I'm grateful for, because I'm always a little bit scared to go into graphic novels.
And this book's really more of a graphic novel than say The Sandman, which is really an ongoing long series.
Yeah.
That's why I felt that this book would be great for this group as well, because it has a beginning and an end. And you're not trying to go through hundreds of issues like some other things will take you through to get to the final end.
Anything with humans having complete power seems inevitably dark.
Yeah. Well, and I also think graphic novels it's just a taste thing. Like it's not going to be for everybody. And just graphic novels in general, like the format isn't going to be for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's still kind of an acquired thing for me where I have to like get used to it. But yeah, this is Nicole's first ever graphic novel.
Nice. Adrian, the genies wrap the pseudo evilness in such cute packages, just like Gremlin, so it meets the Christmas theme.
The genies were super cute.
They were.
I loved them.
And I love the mischief they were getting into, like in the background or like to the side. It was just so great.
Well, I think that was something I loved about the art too, that there was stuff going on in the very background. I don't know how many of you guys noticed the corn cob giant that kind of made it through all the way to the end, that was in the background all the time. I just really enjoyed that guy.
The Majora's Mask moon ate things constantly in the background.
Well, so Justin's comment here, I'm not sure I completely understand how the idea man ended up with so many wishes. That's something that me and Adam talked about like an hour ago that we couldn't really explain either. Does anybody have
Reddit post on it?
Yes, please enlighten us.
Yeah. No pressure.
I think that the idea was that people signed them over either for in exchange for the safety of his place or because they believed in him. I think the main idea was that they signed him the genies over.
Okay, yeah. I thought that it was like he's like invading these other territories and like taking their wishes after killing them, or I don't know, but like that makes more sense.
That line they had with I'm gonna go get more genies, that one made me think it was a lot more dark.
Yeah.
I believe it was voluntarily given over to him. I don't think there's any way, at least within the confines of the story, that he could have taken them. They would have to have been voluntarily given over.
He was paid. He was paid in wishes, like currencies. Yeah, so I guess having people believe in him.
Well, because the lawyers specifically said that they were always paid in wishes, so they did establish that is possible.
Man, like the concept of wishes being finite and then currency and like what people end up. I mean, they're not really like far off. I think about like, what if everybody got one wish? What would the world look like? I'm pretty sure this is exactly what it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was going to be a lot more short-term things. The global nature of it kind of surprised me, like and how world scope it was. I expect a lot more like I wish for $1 million and then it fade away for a lot of people. But yeah, the whole society springing up was not something I expected, but it probably would happen.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun how it tackled the concept of like conflicting wishes.
Yeah, I like that too.
He's like, well, you can wish for this, but this person wished for this, and then your wishes just cancel out. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, well, but yeah, so Case, I think someone died without making a wish. The genie just disappeared.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think so.
Okay.
So
yeah.
did you catch the part where the genies were like, we're going to use intent, but we're going to do it like in the opposite way that you're used to, where genies give you the worst possible outcome of your wish, and this is an entirely different interpretation of that same kind of idea.
It's like we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was refreshing because you were expecting like a little bit of mischief and like just sort of maybe a little bit maliciousness.
I think the amount of mischief you got from the genie depended on the intent that you had with your wish. Like if it was a bad wish, the genies are gonna mess with you.
Yeah. So story-wise, like we kind of focused on these characters that got stuck in this tavern,
which I thought was a great vehicle for like telling the story.
Yes. And like his initial wish to say like nothing wished outside of this bar affects what happens in here.
And how bad did you feel for Daisy that like immediately just wasted her wish? And like when she realized it, she not only like wasted her wish, she also ruined this relationship probably, and then
was stuck with them.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst. I mean,
now, and it's also clever that that's what she did at the beginning. But she had to have had that experience to make the wish at the end.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that the first time I read it through. I kind of caught it the second time. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good writing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't expect the one who wasted their wish almost instantly to be the one with the final wish, which I thought was a really good bit of storytelling.
Yeah.
I like that they didn't just be like, hey, you did a bad job. We're not going to like feature anymore. She was like central to the story after that, even though she didn't do it right the first time. She had like a total redemption arc.
She did. Yeah.
She lived for a long time. But we had the band, the three characters in the band,
the
Daisy, Brian, and Alex. Then we had the Chinese couple. We had Robbie and his dad.
And then the remnant of a mom.
Eventually. Yeah. And then Will Williams.
Will Williams,
who, like my neighbor Joe Joseph,
yeah,
has a redundant name, but Will Williams had a secret. That was somebody who said it was. I didn't see Will being a genie. That was a nice twist. I also was like, oh, interesting.
I think I thought that on page 1, and then like by page 3, I was like, oh no, I've totally got it wrong. And then the last page, I'm like, oh, I was
right. Don't you hate when books make you second guess your right answers?
The authors at the end said that Will Williams was something that they came up like the very first thing, and they stuck with that. And I wondered if it was because of the idea of like wishing and like willing something into existence.
Oh.
I like that.
Yeah.
I could also see it being a total coincidence.
True. Well, we had a lot of Williams chat in the Discord this afternoon. I missed
I
it.
need to catch up on that. Yeah.
There was some great discussion in the Discord about
Well,
this.
let's just go to Discord then.
No, don't leave.
So what did y'all talk about? Who was there?
I was definitely there. There was some discussion which I liked is the genie. What is the nature of the genies? Are they? I mean, how much free will do they have, or are they just a tool of some other higher power? Because they seem to. They have to follow some rules, but they have some leniency in them. And the more I thought about that, I thought it was kind of interesting. What are they really, and are they beings or tools?
Yeah. I guess I didn't really think that far about the genies. They just, they seem to be part of this cycle. They seem to have some sort of lives outside of this. Like they go somewhere,
Yeah.
and for however many years between cycles. But yeah, I would love to know more about like what the rules are with them, and if they do answer to some sort of boss genie. Okay, smart people. People called it. I was just along for the ride. Yeah, everybody. I guess it was obvious that he was genie more so. Did you predict it?
I didn't predict it. I think I had to be told.
So then you have Robbie, who becomes Sun Man.
Well, and introduces us to the whole superhero supervillain dynamic.
Yeah, and his dad, who, as to his birthday present to Robbie, brings Robbie's mom back, which that was super touching. That was like one of those like moments. But then you learn about remnants.
I have to call out one of the villains because it's one of the best villain names I've ever heard. It's horrible, but the deboner. It made me laugh the first time, and it made me laugh the second time. It was like, that is insane name for a superhero. For a villain.
Yeah, and he did some pretty horrific things, didn't he? Like
he like debones.
Yeah,
people, right?
Debones people.
Yeah.
What a terrible wish.
I don't know what in your life leads you to like that being your wish.
At some point, the Earth was an ice cream cone.
I liked the evolution of the Earth images. That was really fun. I also loved every time they went to like the first 8 hours or 8 days or whatever, they also told you what the human population and the genie population was. And I love seeing them both dwindle down. It was super effective.
Just imagine every child gets a wish. I think the Earth as an ice cream cone is probably a conservative version of that.
Probably. Well, and when the Chinese couple's kid became of age, she was only 8. So it's like 8 years old. They decide that you're old enough to like make a wish. That's wild.
What would you have wished for as an 8-year-old?
Probably a horse. I really wanted a horse.
I would definitely wish for the Millennium Falcon. Absolutely.
Yeah, I might have been. I would have either been a Ghostbuster or like on the Enterprise or something.
You did notice there was a whole lot of Enterprises out there in space at one point, right?
Yeah,
more than one.
It's like those are my people. I'm one of them. Yeah,
that's cool.
But yeah. I mean, to think that like, at the time G-Day happens and there's a bunch of 8-year-olds.
Yeah, Sean's. This was a big shock to me too. I thought it was so sad, but it was a really great, like shocking moment.
What a great moment that was. Because Robbie's like, I'm only 13. He's like, I'm only 11. Oh man. It just, I mean, I think you really want to like make a commentary about the human mentality and just like humanity. Give everybody a wish and see what happens.
I thought, what's the idea man's name? Is that like
Floyd?
Is this something like that?
Floyd or something?
Floyd, I think is right. Yeah, I think it was Floyd.
I really appreciated how like well they did his little backstory in like 4 pages. Just like give us an idea of who he is and why he is who he is.
What did I compare that to? Snow Crash? It was like
oh yeah.
In Snow Crash when we get like that random guy's, we would take like time out to do that random guy's backstory, except this actually mattered.
Made him very sympathetic, I thought.
Yeah.
At first.
Yeah.
And then after a while you're like, oh, you kind of suck.
Floyd Fawn.
Lloyd Fawn. Lisa would have wished to be one of Jem's holograms. Not even Jem,
Oh, nice.
just the hologram.
Great.
Well, we did see a kid wish to be a soccer player.
See, this is Justin knows me.
Yeah.
I would have not. I would have been gone. I would have give me the captain of the Enterprise and like I'll see y'all later. Let's go explore the galaxy, which is probably something that happened.
What if anybody wished for time travel? And then what would happen? Like,
Oh,
how much would that change
there's my-
things?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
in the
nice.
back, the authors said they thought they were going to incorporate time travel, but then it was going to be
Right.
complicated.
Yeah.
So that's something I don't have is the extra material that's in the collected
Oh.
edition.
It's
I need
pretty
to-
good stuff.
I need to check that out.
a lot of like sort of prototypical art.
Yeah, a lot of great art, a lot of like establishing who the characters are. And then also there was a really great like long spread about kind of how they brainstormed the whole thing, which was really fun to read. And then the wishes you miss, I guess it's like things that they were going to put in and took out, which I didn't read through all those, but there's a lot of them.
Collector's edition, you say? So Sean, yeah, we have this.
I think
That's the same one I got from my library.
Yeah, I think that's the only collected edition that exists today.
um,
Eventually, I suspect there'll be a paperback version, but it's just not out yet.
the version on Hoopla has this stuff in the back too. So if you
That's
have,
what Lisa said.
yeah,
So time travel, you know my thing about time travel. So it's actually not possible without space travel because the Earth and solar system is moving. If we went to you went back in time like 200 years, you just wind up in some random spot in space where the Earth is like. So that'd be one way to deal with time travel.
true, yeah.
Just be like, I want to time travel, and then poof, and then they're just like floating in space. And we're like, what?
Interesting.
That's kind of how Sunman got rid of the Idea Man.
Sunman fed the Idea Man to the moon,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. he
Yeah,
did.
he knocked him into yeah.
Which moon is terrifying.
But him wanting to find a place where his family is safe, and then you had the Chinese couple. She was pregnant and she had her little baby, and he
I-
wished to be some sort of like
To survive.
superhero.
It.
He was also kind of a superhero. But
He kind of was.
was it more armor based
It
though
was
for him?
armor
I
and
think-
knowledge because he learned like all the
Oh, that's
languages
right.
too.
Yeah, he could speak language. He could.
He knew how to do things. It was like knowledge also.
Which I thought was interesting, like what he became versus what Sunman became.
Well, I guess his wish wasn't as specific as Sunman. Sunman had a drawing, and I got the impression that it was very specific what he asked for.
Yeah, the wish, the father of the little girl comes later. He wished for whatever he needed to protect his family. So he kind of had whatever he needed when he needed it.
But he was also kind of short-sighted, I would say. Like,
I think it worked out pretty
well, I
great
think it
for
worked
him.
out for him, but I think at the time that he made his wish, he was still trying to get to that other place so he could like do the job thing. And I'm like, listen, my man.
Well, look, but when the world is like ridiculous around you, how long does it actually take you to realize that it's not? It's like changed.
When you step outside and there's Godzillas everywhere.
I bet there's still like something in your head that's like, that's gonna go back to normal.
And that's what I was thinking. So yeah.
That's true. We did have the pandemic, and then we're all like, we'll be back at work in 2 weeks. We'll be back in the office. But like he's wishing to be like this, mech man, and still like I got to get to this place to like make or like he was being blackmailed or something, wasn't he, or something like that?
I'm
No,
not
he-
really sure what happened to that.
Oh yeah, he was being blackmailed, but I also got the impression he was gonna get paid a lot.
He had like a thumb drive full of sensitive information or something,
Yeah, I think
And
it
then
was corporate espionage type of deal.
Yeah.
and then
And then once he
yeah,
got there, he decided not to do it, which made me wonder, like, then why did you
Right.
need to?
Yeah, he just
Unless he
snapped his
realized, well, the
fingers.
world's on fire, so now I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But he only
I
realized
think-
that during the travel.
Yeah, I think he figured it out during the trip.
Ah,
Oh no, Benny.
but then why complete it?
He cries.
Yeah, that's a good question.
You don't hear that?
So how do you feel about the bada bings actually going out into the world, kind of unprotected?
I love that.
Yeah.
And I thought what is the wish thing? Like when you hold on to your wish for so
Wish
long,
blocked?
you can.
Wish
blocked?
Yeah, I thought that was really
Wish-
interesting too.
Honestly, I probably wish blocked from the beginning. I can't even like. My parents are asking me what I want for Christmas. And I can't even tell them. So like,
Same.
You would either use your wish instantly,
yeah, I'd be like
Or-
Ghostbusters.
or
Oh,
you
no.
would never ever use your wish.
That's
It's
pretty
one
much
of
what
the
I
two.
did. I got my wish done on like page 2, and then only later realized that I probably wouldn't work. And I was like, oh, I've already wasted it. Oh, and then when I read about wish blocking, I'm like, no, that's also me. So yeah.
Yeah, I think if it were me, I'd probably end up being wish locked from the get go. They'd be like, "You have one wish." I'd be like, "Let me think about it. I'll get back to you." Yeah. See, I think there's probably a lot of
Yeah.
people that were in that.
Yeah.
What would you wish for?
I think I would wait. I'd hold on to mine until like either like there was an emergency or
Or I'd be like,
possibly get wish locked.
or I'd get like super flustered, and I'd be like, "Ah, God, I wish Benny would just start crying," and then I'd be like, "No, wait," and then
You risk putting yourself into a situation where you have to use it for something like, oh, reverse this bullet that just went through me for some reason.
Yeah.
So it's a little, if you're already in the like bar that's protected, it's easier to say, well, I can hold on to that than if you were walking down the street and all of this went down. And then you've got the people that wanted to be young because they were old, or they wanted, I think there was a guy there that wanted to be able to walk again because he was disabled. That's kind of an instant thought if you've been dealing with something for like that for a long time, and then you realize, well, maybe there's something more to this thing that I really wanted.
So Dan says, one thing I thought was interesting is that Idea Man provided all those detailed, convoluted contract style wishes, and in the end, it didn't work out for him. And all Wang said was, "Give me whatever I need to survive this." I mean, that's all it takes, I guess.
Mhm.
You just be like, sometimes
Well-
the more vague, the better.
You're depending upon the genies to kind of give you that leeway, though, because they could certainly interpret that differently.
Yeah.
It's true.
I thought it was fascinating how the genies were like people's friends and like kind of gave them information and answered questions and stuff. And like, I don't know, you don't expect that from a genie.
Yeah, and I imagine spending like 700 years with one, you probably get to be pretty close.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and like the baby, like growing up with a little genie that's like your playmate for however many years. That's it's just,
I would have liked to, if I was going to say, can we expand something here? I'd like to expand more of the asking the genies for information. Like
yeah.
how far could they have pushed that? Did the Idea Man push that far enough for what he was doing, or did anybody push that far enough? Or how many people even figured out that they would answer a question?
Yeah. Well, and I do think that it's at the genie's discretion how much information they give you. So I kind of feel like the genies just wouldn't answer anything the Idea Man asked.
Can your wishes affect the genies? Like, could you say like, I wish the genies would believe in me?
Well, the like the parents in Brazil or something said, I wish that my children couldn't use the wishes. I feel like that kind of affects the genies.
Then there was that one town that if you're in it, kids under 25 can't use their wish.
The genie got headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, and really the whole crux of the ending is based on the Bada Bings combining their wishes with the unintended consequence of Daisy being able to basically live forever, being immortal. So that affected how the genie worked as well.
So is because she still had a genie, she just kept living?
I think it's the way they worded the wish that gave her part of the genie.
Part of the genie?
It's the way that they worded it, I'm pretty sure.
But it didn't affect, like,
It didn't affect them, but it's because she was the last one. We'll see.
Yeah, even one of the even the genie said, "Hey, how about this for unintended consequences?" And that's kind of how they explain her immortality.
Yeah. I wish that Alex's genie would be under the control of all three of us, me, Alex, and Daisy, and that its wish must be wished by the agreement of all three of us together until one of us dies, and it's just the two survivors, and after that, it goes to the last one alive. So
Yeah, but like,
it shouldn't have given her immortality, but if
if you interpret it, the wish must be wished. You take that phrase right there.
As long as there's a wish and there's no one to pass it to.
Right.
You just keep going.
Yeah.
But did she stop because she clearly stopped aging, or else she would have looked like the Crypt Keeper.
Right.
And that was about when Alex died.
What?
But she stayed kind of in the same age range as when Alex died. So that makes sense when she was alone.
Justin wants to know what everyone thinks the world looked like to Daisy, or will look like after Daisy made her final wish. Like, what does the reborn world look like? The final wish was, I wish everybody would love as they want to be loved. Is that right?
That's right.
I think similar.
I mean,
I read a Reddit post on this too.
Oh yeah, please share.
Oh, I wasn't prepared. My brain doesn't absorb information that well to pass it back off. I think it was basically there were multiple interpretations, but it seemed like most people were thinking that it was either nothing happened and reverted to previous, or I might have also read it in the back of the book, and now I'm double guessing myself. I think it was either the world began again, the world reverted, or it's showing that we're reaching 8 billion genies again. There were a few different options, and they all were plausible in my head.
Well, the last page is the next 8 seconds. Human population 8 billion, genie population 1. So
my interpretation of that is that the population did continue to grow again, but under the conditions of her wish. So the people were, everybody's just better, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the book, Will is explaining, it must have been maybe later, but they're explaining that the reason that this whole system exists is because when you get that many people, you have this overabundance of want and desperation. So after her wish, the population doesn't have want anymore because they get the one thing that everybody wants, right? They're content and happy. And so that final page is, okay, we hit the 8 billion, and 8 seconds later, normally the genies would show up. They would show up 8 seconds after the 8 billion person was born, except they didn't show up this time, which means, hey, we did it, Yeah.
See, I thought that this was going to be like, and it wasn't the case, but I thought that what we were reading was the last cycle, and that like we were going to be in the, like we are the current cycle now, and like what we saw was like all of this has happened before basically, and all of this will happen again. But that wasn't the case.
The thing that confused me is when the last genie, when Will was telling his story, I didn't realize that was Will telling his story. I thought that was like the last, like Daisy's genie telling his story.
I got it.
I thought.
I got it. I knew it was Will. Was there a puppy? Did I miss a puppy?
He went and laid down.
Oh,
He said fried chicken blub.
Oh, hey, little buddy.
Excellent.
Hey, little puppy.
Hey, bud.
Oh, hi.
Oh.
There's your face. Sweet pup.
Yeah.
What were we talking
He's
about?
my
though?
neighbor's dog. I have house in for him.
What were we talking about?
I was talking about how I didn't realize Will Williamson's story was his story. I thought it was Daisy's genie story.
Will Williams lived quite the lifetimes.
Right? And he did some evil things, like the Black Plague.
Yeah, and he was Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Really had to live the human experience, just all of it.
I did think that was fascinating that he freaked out because he's like, oh no, G-Day is about to happen and I'm not ready for it. So I must stall. And so he just kills like massive amounts of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, Will Williams, not a great guy.
But at the same time, like he's a genie who feels like he's trying to figure out what his purpose is and to really understand humans. And like I get like exploring all of it. I mean, and he took it to a dark place, but
It doesn't look like genies will appear for us in the same way, seeing as how we've already surpassed 8 billion.
That's
Yeah.
probably a good thing.
Yeah, he was the flying jacket.
Yeah, I love that little thing.
There's a lot of impaling people. But here's a question we were trying to talk about earlier about his kids. I'm assuming that like as a genie, he doesn't pass on any sort of genie DNA because he's going to have kids all over the place.
Well, we
And, like,
saw like an image of at least like 30 baby
Like-
faces.
his family tree is like
Right.
vast and varied, and like there are people that are like siblings that are like centuries apart.
Half
I mean-
sibling.
Yes.
I kind of feel like since he was able to change who he was and his ethnicity and gender and just everything about him, that like I don't think his DNA was ever the same for any of those.
But was it just was it just a cosmetic thing for him because he's still genie underneath, or yeah, his family tree is a family forest. But like he's got,
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of kids that he has fathered and then also birthed is significant.
I don't think he's genie underneath. I think he's any kind of human that he wants to be, and he has the genie's memories. But
Genetics.
That makes sense.
That's true. But he was created as a baby and was like, screw that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a baby.
It's like it's easier for them to understand. And he's like, but nope, I hated it.
there's a lot of stories like that where you have an immortal character that has to go through all the human experience, both good and bad, before they get to that kind of the person they're going to be. There's a character like that in The Sandman. Then you've got Bill Murray in Groundhog Day kind of does the exact same thing. Interesting that story keeps coming around again.
Well, this is the question of what do you do with immortality, or what do you do with like the same day over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
In his case, like the same day is like several millennium.
Yeah.
How much time is between the cycle? Like lots.
They said when he started, and it was like 1700 AD or something, or there was like
Was it 1100? I think maybe
it might have been
1100.
1100.
It's
It's a solid.
1200 AD.
That's something like that.
So 1200 AD. So is that when the last cycle ended?
I guess.
What was
Because-
what was that last wish?
Like
The dark times
it's
would
the
arrive?
it's the two genies looking like aliens.
Mm-hmm.
But like if that was the last wish, it didn't really do much, did it?
We didn't see what the last wish
No.
was, did we?
Am I missing something? In terms of like 1200 AD, the drink is freaking me out.
It's fine.
Just putting it down on the couch all willy-nilly.
Yeah,
So-
they did mention different species.
So this is
Maybe it was the last wish of a different species, and then they're moving on to Earth, human Earth.
Oh, maybe. That makes sense. They did say that it's happened like 11 or 12 times before.
Something like that. Yeah.
Should be about 6 or 7 centuries until the next G-Day. Have fun.
6 or 7 centuries. So the genies were in a completely different planet.
Yeah. Anyway, you granted the last wish in the last world, which means you get the big reward.
Yeah.
Living as a human in the new one.
But they didn't go back to after Daisy made her last wish, did they move on to another? Guess they did. Seems like they did, perhaps.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that it was. I still think that it was Earth, just different worlds on Earth.
I think so.
Whoa.
Hey, didn't they also mention that if there's like conflicting wishes, they can do like alternate universes? I feel like they said something about that at some point. Or maybe they just said that was an option.
Yeah.
Lizard folk kept their genies as friends.
It's cute.
I want to know more about these lizard people.
Mhm.
Melissa's over there singing Aladdin.
One of the things from the back of the book is they said Amazon Studios is starting with a film, but they like have ideas for a whole Genie's verse.
Well, yeah, it says on the back,
Mhm.
a feature film and universe of storytelling based on 8 Billion Genies is currently in development at Amazon Studios.
Yeah. And I looked it up and found an article from March of this year that is talking about it currently. So it looks like that's still a thing.
Yeah, we'll follow that.
Yeah,
with
and I'm really
interest.
fascinated to see it because somewhere I read that they're kind of thinking about doing like a Walking Dead-ish view, which could be really interesting because it's very, very different than this.
I mean, if I don't see dinosaurs and Transformers and
Oh no, it would have
50
to be.
million enterprises.
No, I think it's just talking about like regular humans going through like all of the stuff happening around them.
So then it'll just, if they take a Walking Dead approach, then it's just going to be about them, like whining at each other.
No. They're going to do it better than that.
That's how I feel about the Walking Dead.
Carl.
If it doesn't have the giant corn cob man, I'm not watching it. I'm just not doing it.
Because they put that throughout the whole thing, and I'm going to have to flip back through because I missed that, then it'll probably show up in something.
Yeah, there's one point where he's facing off with one of the Godzillas.
Let's see how fast the giant corn cob man shows up.
Yeah, it shows up pretty early.
I bet.
You got to look for those establishing shots. There you go.
Okay, here's the first one. He's not in the first one.
Let me see.
He's in there. He's somewhere. You'll see him in a few pages.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
This is just a giant corn man.
Yeah. It's just like a kaiju corn on the cob. I don't have the issues in front of me, or I'd look it up for you.
Kaiju corn on the cob.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Also, Dan, that anthropomorphic moon. Not a fan.
No.
But Dan is not entirely against it.
I am totally against it.
I mean, what would we go to the moon for? Would we seek advice, or
Ugh,
like what would be the point of the moon being
nothing.
cognizant?
Nothing.
You get it. Did we ask the moon? Somebody asked the moon.
Moon?
I like all the
Yes,
Hoosian references.
That's one of those kids' wishes, man. And you just never know what you're going to get there.
Ugh.
Like the Millier
Well,
moon, but
and if
grumpier. Can you imagine grumpier than
And if
getting a
you
rocket in your eye?
forgot, the moon ate Santa and his reindeer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. Unforgivable.
The remnants were really interesting.
The remnants?
All the remnants.
The blue guy. Well, there he is.
That guy? That looks like. Is this who you're talking about? I don't think so. No. Yeah, that guy?
I can't really tell it, but no, I mean, he looks just like a corn on the
Yeah,
cob.
it's not this guy.
Well, it looks like corn on the cob.
No, I feel like it's pink.
I can't see colors.
You should be pink and yellow. Oh, there he is.
Oh, I
Found him.
found one where he's fighting a giant banana. I just found it. Yeah.
Where is he?
It's on the other page.
Is it? Yeah, it's behind her.
There
Yeah,
he
there
is.
he is. That's the guy. Yeah.
It's just
And
a
he
corn
shows
on
up. He shows up all throughout the book.
I did see him at least once.
Conjun.
I really feel like I need to go back and just look in the background of all of these now.
Yeah. You'll find a X-Wing fighter in there I spotted. The Discovery from 2001 is in there.
Kira just finished. What'd you think? We're still here. Imagine both the Earth and the Moon were cognizant and had conversations with each other while humans were on the surface.
Oh, weird.
Or the Earth is an ice cream cone and the Moon is the Moon, and the Moon starts licking the Earth.
Oh.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, and in some of the pictures of the Earth, there's bites taken out of it, and I wonder if that's the Moon's doing.
Here's the thing that nobody really acknowledged. It's the same thing about the Star Trek holodeck. There is like an extremely like unrated version of this
Oh, yeah.
happening
Yep.
somewhere. It's just like the Star Trek holodeck. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
can
if you
make
think there's a
anything.
giant corncob guy walking around,
Well, and what's interesting is in the
There's-
back when they're doing the brainstorming, he's like, "Yeah, there's going to be a super villain whole like storyline, kind of like The Boys." And I love that they even mentioned that because like this is so far from that.
Like I was surprised at how sort of like PG-13 this,
Mhm.
you know, like are because some graphic novels they go there, like The Boys, but but this one,
they do a little bit of that in Ready Player One, right? Where he's talking about all of the different avatars that people use, and some of them are a little not safe for work. If I remember correctly, it's at Ready Player One.
I think
feel
it
like-
is.
Yeah.
Dan says, which Lit Wasted member is most likely to be an immortal genie in disguise? It's Christy.
She keeps them in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So
Nobody's
nobody's
gonna keep
brought,
track of the wishes.
nobody's brought up that haven for all the creative people, which I thought was interesting as well.
Mm.
And you had
Funland?
to audition to get in, so they're turning a lot of people away.
I got the impression that if you don't have a genie, you're not allowed in anyways.
I thought that audition.
No, I think the genies allowed them to get in, even though they failed the audition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you don't have a genie, you're not getting in. Like, I guess, what do you have to do to get in? I mean, they practiced for a long time. They were probably pretty good. But they have Funland. And,
Yeah, I did appreciate how many of the havens they explored in this book because they did not have a lot of time and they got to a bunch of them.
And I got Jim Morrison. That was crazy. Let's see. People are guessing.
Did
People are
I
guessing.
miss something? Because I thought they only went to the one haven and then went to the last one. Or
Well,
was that whole time different ones?
Well, we got to see the one that's mostly remnants. We got to see the lawyer haven for like just a
Oh,
minute.
yeah.
We got to see the one
The
where Idea Man was.
Yeah.
The Asian couple went to a different one.
Right.
And then Funland, and then the bar. So I mean, we got a good
Oh,
handful.
yeah.
The scouring. Let's talk about the scouring. It sounds like the Idea Man and the lawyers were involved in the scouring
And the refreshing.
and the
I
refreshing.
think they're just trying to like clean the slate.
Which is just awful.
Yeah.
But the havens gave me like a Walking Dead vibe
Mm-hmm.
when the havens were popped up, because that's kind of the way the Walking Dead ended up being sort of structured. Except this wasn't as boring and bickery as the Walking Dead ended up being.
They had a lot less time in this one to get boring and bickering.
They had all the time in the world. They had 700 years. I really think the Italian musicians lived in the first time. Oh yeah. Oh, the remnant created the haven, right?
Mhm. It was like the 80s or 90s.
I forgot about that.
That was a sweet one. They were like sad, but they were also like, well, yeah, we knew how to end.
Well, and they all had like significant others that were remnants from that remnant town.
Oh my gosh, Brian's significant. Who's like, oh, everything. Oh man, that was. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Man, that was crazy.
Kira, did he not start as Weird Al? Because I noticed he ended as Weird Al in the audition.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw
Yeah.
that.
One of the judge on the end was Weird Al, and was like, you didn't make it in. Let's see. Yeah,
Is that Weird Al? Is that supposed to be Weird Al?
I thought it was, but let's see.
That's the way I read it too. I mean, it doesn't come out and say it, but that's
It
the way I
does,
read it.
does look like Weird
I
Al.
saw it like that.
I don't know who the other two were supposed to
Man,
be.
I didn't even pay attention.
I definitely got the Weird Al thing.
Should give him an accordion or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the 80s. The 80s was the Helen Gutierrez, right? I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do with the 80s. I was only a baby.
Same.
Yeah, I grew up I lived in the 80s. Yeah.
I lived through it. Yeah, I remember it.
I remember some of the 80s.
I do too.
Like late 80s.
Yeah.
What else? There's so much that happened. I thought it was was her adopted name the name she chose for herself Betty, the daughter? Was it Betty?
Was it Betty?
Yeah.
We were trying to remember Daisy's name earlier and could not.
Daisy and Betty being yeah, that would be my whole worldview of the 80s. Would be just Ghostbusters and Back to the Future and Star Trek 2. But Daisy and Betty being the final two was interesting, and the way like Betty's path, or she became a wish hunter. Is that what they called it?
Mhm.
What does that mean?
She was hunting down people that still had their wishes.
She was killing people with genies.
Yeah. Because she wanted to have the last wish, and the only way to do that is to get rid of the rest of the genies.
And then after all that, like, she just gave it up.
Mhm.
What was it? I wish to not have a wish.
Mhm.
I like how some of the genies got emotional when they like disappeared.
Yeah.
Or the one genie when the idea man did his wish was like, no.
I like how they rated their wishes. They're like, this is a good wish, or that was a very smart wish. I thought that was cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I also like how the genies aged with Daisy and Betty, especially.
So, what do you think Will was doing all that time when there was nobody in the bar?
Polishing the
He was
bar.
just hanging out for like years and years and years.
Well, he said he had every Denzel Washington movie.
Watching Training Day over and over again.
Yeah.
So, Kira, we tried to talk about this earlier. Someone explained why the other bandmates' wish gave Daisy immortality, and I guess we came to some conclusion on that.
Yeah, it was how she worded it, or how they worded the wish.
Because never mind. I was gonna try and make a stab at it, and I was like,
So they all wished for the wish to pass on to the next person, and then when that person was left, there's nobody to pass it to. So you either wish or you live.
nice.
Because you could still die with a genie, because people did. Obviously, a wish hunter would kill people with genies. So it's not like
Yeah, the wish must be wish. Sean has it in quotes there.
Right.
the wish must be wished. So she just kept holding on.
And because she was the last one, she stopped aging, we think.
I thought it was funny that the idea man was wish locked as he like was hurtled into the moon.
Danny's too. Or Dan's, this is hilarious.
The genie get shot.
Yes, that was my favorite.
He's like, just kidding. He's like, I'm good. We're genies.
So the genies are having a lot of fun, but their morality is pretty questionable.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, just the concept itself is a questionable like motive.
Well,
Yeah.
and Will Williamson's morality too.
Yeah, he was Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting question. If you really were immortal, would you lose your morality over time, or would you gain it? Like, would you become a better person or a worse person over time?
Well, let's take a look at
Way.
let's take a look at the great Bill Murray from Groundhog Day.
It could
I would say
also
that he first lost his morality and then gained it.
Yeah, I think it's both.
Well, it's like
well,
Rice,
with
like-
Bill's spot though, he had to live the same day all over and over again.
It's true.
I think I did whatever I could to get out of that day.
Even
Yeah,
if
I
it
think
meant
it's a
being
little
a good
different.
person.
Well,
If that had
it's
to be
like-
what it was, yeah.
it's like Anne Rice and like Louis and Lestat, like they both went different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Louis was kind of the punk in the beginning, though. So.
Interview with
Yeah.
the vampire, and
He was.
I dozed off for a second.
I feel like it could just go back and forth, honestly. If you're like here forever,
Yeah.
like you have like a period of good and then a period
Mhm.
of bad, and you just keep going up and down.
We got like a Doctor Who side combo going on here. Also, sort of immortal character. Yeah, like he was doing Groundhog Day for a long
Oh God.
Goodness.
time, because like I think people determined how long it would take to be that good at the piano and how good it, like you had to learn all these skills. Like you lived for like 30 years or something. So yeah, I mean, but like Will Williams, it seemed like his focus was singular and that he was trying to like understand humanity so that he could understand what the perfect wish was.
Yeah. And then he figured it out.
And then didn't tell anybody.
Decided it couldn't be him, and he wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they aren't good dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the deal with the genies? They're like, what is it they just show up because the population gets too big?
Yes.
And they basically have like a purge.
I mean, they said it was because there's so many people that want so much.
Right.
So I think it is a population, but it's also the fact that everybody just has this void that
So
they're trying to fill.
They're born out of like unfulfilled desires. Which, I mean, isn't that just being a human?
That's why
Was Will a human?
He was human-ish.
He was human-like.
Why did he get a
sometimes.
genie?
To say undercover, I guess.
That's a good question. I don't know why he got a genie.
Yeah, Missy says a critical mass of yearning. Humans are a bucket with a hole in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
But
Literally.
Also, I think one thing the book doesn't really go into much until the end, but
Here you go.
there's
Adam.
a lot of good humans in the book too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it?
What?
Bucket with a hole in it.
Yes. Yeah, I got it.
It would be Kira says it'd be difficult to be a genie because they don't have a choice as to whether they're there or not. Yeah, you could get stuck with, a good person or a terrible person.
Oh, great. I'm with asshole.
Yeah, and the genies knew it. Like the genies weren't impartial.
Yeah.
Like they were judgmental.
No, he was like, yeah, but didn't
Yeah.
use it.
Kind of got the impression that bad people use their wishes way sooner than good people.
That's your idea, man.
He used his wish immediately.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then he had like a billion wishes he could still use.
Yeah, so they find ways to get more wishes, but I think they used their initial wish really soon.
Will Williams also used his wish immediately. So did Daisy.
It was for good, though. Daisy's
well,
wasn't.
Will knew what was coming. Daisy's was horrible.
Yeah, Daisy's was terrible, and
Especially, she was really bad at reading the room too. Apparently,
Yeah.
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 And it's just right after
I mean,
Alex
they did
asked
end
her
up.
out.
They
She
did
ended
end
up
up
with Alex.
being a team the entire time. So her thinking that she could live a life with them was actually accurate. It just wasn't the way she was thinking.
Yeah.
Right. And she did end up with Alex.
Mm-hmm.
He got his wish and he didn't have to use it. But what timing where he's like, hey, man, I just wondered if maybe we could have dinner. Hey, everybody gets a wish. I want Brian to love me. I was like,
Wasn't Alex talking about like kicking Brian out of the band too?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
real
Yeah.
bad timing.
Yeah, terrible timing. I really enjoyed this.
But look at us. We made it to the hourly mark. I'm sure we could have more spirited discussion of 8 Billion Genies.
It does bring up a lot of questions.
There are a lot of questions. But I mean, just the concept of wishing is like something that I think everybody loves to explore.
Yeah.
Because we've all thought about it. We've all thought about, like, you know, you watch Aladdin and you're like, well, what if I had 3 wishes? Or, you know, whatever. Like you watch I Dream of Genie and you're like, what if I had, you know, a Barbara Eden of my own?
One last thing, that in the back of the book, they were talking about how they came up with the idea, and they were brainstorming impossible stories to tell. And this is one of them. And they're like, well, let's bookmark that one
Let's
and come
give it a
back to
shot.
it. Yeah.
So it sounds like this is like the favorite graphic novel yet. Is that an agreement there?
I think so.
I think so.
I think a lot of people liked Resident
Now,
Alien.
for those people who weren't maybe on the fence, didn't like it, like you, Giggles, you were a little bit disappointed. Does this give you a different perspective on the whole thing? Or are you still disappointed by it?
I'm sorry.
You can still be, it's
You
fine.
don't have to apologize.
I still, for the reasons that I didn't really enjoy it, I still don't really enjoy it, but I did enjoy all the like jumping off points as I was reading and here too. Yeah, I would still, for the graphic novels I have read with the group, because I have skipped a couple. I would say Resident Alien was probably my favorite because I ended up reading the whole series with my brother. But yeah, I wanted to see more of the detailed wishes rather than explore society of wishes. So in that way, it can't really change. But I still enjoy the process of reading it and all the ideas that you can come up with around it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you in the sense that, like, you see all the stuff going on in the background and you're like, how did we get there? Like, I want that story. I want to know, like, what's going on over here, like who these people are, like who's wishing for this stuff over here, and like how does this affect this, you know, like if we had like stories about, you know, sort of an anthology style stories about like how G-Day affected different groups of people, I think that would have been cool to see too. Because we just got this one like insular group the whole time, which worked, but also like, but what if we had them and we play that out in 8 volumes or whatever, and then we have a whole new 8 volumes that starts over the beginning of G-Day.
Wow.
Calls completely other people, but we know how it ends because Daisy got the last wish. But I think other people's stories would be a little bit more tragic. But did I spit on you because I felt it?
I didn't feel it, but yeah, you probably did.
Yeah.
So Dan asked, what am I forgetting? And he mentioned the graphic novels we've read. I think you're missing Dune, which of course is not a graphic novel, but we did that one December and January.
Right.
Oh, we did do
Well,
Chew.
it's Chew. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I was going to say.
Oh,
Chew.
I actually read Chew.
I liked Chew. I meant to
liked
keep
that.
reading, and
Chew
I haven't
felt
read
short,
more yet. Yeah.
but I think I was fine with Chew.
That one, I remember that one having a mixed response, just because I liked it so much, so I paid attention to it.
Did Talia read that one? Because
No, she didn't.
Okay.
No, she did, and she did not like it.
that was all about like bites out of people.
I really like that one though.
You should
It really
continue
made me
reading.
wanna
It gets better.
Yeah, I will. It really made me want to eat beets.
Right?
But there's no more 8 Billion Genies, right?
No.
Like, this is it for now.
I think this is just
Correct.
This is it.
Kathy doing a throwback.
it.
Yes.
Yes, he is, and he passed it on to our child.
Stop.
You'll have to go see the holiday hangout if you want to.
Yeah, we learned some new words.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I guess we'll wrap up the 8 billion. Well, I guess Brandy, what are your final thoughts?
I really liked it. And if there was more, I would read more. But alas.
Well, there might be an Amazon series, so or a movie.
I'm
Yeah.
game. I'm game.
A world, right? A whole like.
But of course, you're free to continue the discussion in Discord or in the
Mhm.
Literally Wasted Lounge. There's places for all of that, and big thanks to y'all, to Giggles and Jeff and Brandy, for being here. It's so great to have you, and it's been a while since we've seen Giggles, so yay! Like, you're always welcome back.
Thank you.
This wraps up Literally Wasted for 2024.
Amazing.
What a wild ride we've had this year, but 2025 is going to be awesome.
Yep.
We're going to start it off with iRobot. It's going to be lit. That's
It's gonna
right.
be
Ooh, wait, I've read iRobot. Sorry, I've read iRobot.
And just a note about the February book poll. It's going to be, I'm hoping it's going to be books that you guys got from Secret Santa. So I think people are still waiting to receive them or waiting until Christmas to open them. So we're going to put out the poll as soon as I get 3 that I want to put in there. So hopefully that happens in the next couple weeks.
But stay tuned. We do have some fun things planned for 2025. If you're in Discord, we'll post some stuff there. Want to have like a bit of a what do y'all want to do this year? Brainstorm and talk about like, the direction of the club and what y'all want to do and how we can like do more and expand and stuff. We've already got an idea for a drinking the book.
Yeah,
that we want to do.
it's Claw.
Yeah, it's Claw from
Dragonflight.
So
we have the recipe and all the ingredients in the house already. We just have to actually sit down and do it.
Just to make it.
Yeah, it's happening.
So and Christy's been like itching to do more like cooking and drinking the book. So
Nice.
So we may do more of that. Lit Wasted Con, all the fun stuff is going to happen. So it's been a wonderful year.
Yeah.
Happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year. We'll see y'all in 2025.
Yeah, and thank you all for just being a part of Literally Wasted. Like, it can't happen without you.
Yes. So don't go anywhere, please.
Please.
Yeah, we're glad you're here.
Yes.
Stick around. But yeah, thanks everybody. Have a great holiday and a great new year, and we'll see you soon. Bye.